What's good? It's your boy Shay coming back at you with another Big Brother update. As always, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this shit everywhere. I cannot believe it. We are at 476, 500 HOH robe. Hey, Dan Dummy, I got an email coming to you. You should get that shortly after I record. Woo! Make sure you play fantasy football. Get in the comments. I got a link down there. Sign up. Free $10 on your boy. That's the best way to support the show. I got a brand new Facebook page I just started. It's Big Brother Life with Shay on Facebook. At BB Life Shay, or just search for Big Brother Life with Shay. So this shit don't stop. I got the vote started on my Twitter page. It's the pinned tweet, so go vote on what season we start next. I think Dr. Will and BB2 is in a slight lead right now. So I got BB2, BB7 All-Stars, the Jeff and Jordan season, and the Dan and Boogie season. Those are the four I narrowed it down to. So get over there, vote. And if you don't, just tweet me at hashtag BB Rewatch and let me know who you vote for, because we're gonna get started right after the finale. Finale night is tomorrow. The feeds have been boring as shit, so I'm gonna do a slight review of the season if you don't mind. So kick back, let's do it. I definitely we got a lot to talk about, especially with this cast. From the beginning there was Brenda, Letitia, Linda, Felicia, Dawn, LaShawn, Inez, and Alicia, Teresa, Monica, Sharon, Nikki, Lisa, Veronica, Karen, Vicky. Wait, that's the wrong cast. My bad. Scrap that cast. That cast is way better than this cast. This cast, what we got? We got Cameron, Jillian, Cody, Dominique, Ramses, Jessica, Cody again, Elena, Mark, Matt, Jason, Raven, Alex, Kevin, Josh, Christmas, and the one they call Paul, for a very incredibly lackluster season of Big Brother. Now, don't get it twisted. Even though I think it's a lackluster season, man, I'm not going nowhere, man. Like, this is like when your team is, having a shitty year. Like, you're not no real fan if your team has a shitty year and you're not a fan no more. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still on the Big Brother team, you know what I mean? But y'all dropped the ball this year, buddy. The idiot shit hasn't stopped. I mean, Josh, with all these fake ass Cam talking again. What was he Cam talking about? He said if he takes Christmas to the final two, he'll lose. If you feel that way, what the fuck you think's gonna happen with Paul? And his defense for Paul is, well, Paul hasn't really made any real game moves. Now, here's the one thing. Josh does have a long shot chance at upsetting Paul. It's a long shot. He's definitely got a hope for bitterness. I definitely, Cody's not voting for Josh in any type of way. I found it funny that Jessica was like, since Cody is like the alpha in the jury house and everybody's betas, he's gonna basically tell everybody who to vote for. And I'm like, y'all tried that shit not once but twice and it failed. So what the fuck makes you think he's getting ready to do it now? I guess they're going for the hat trick of fucking up. So I don't know what the hell she was thinking with that. And that was just a jab to try to call them betas and Paul followers again, but whatever. She can vent how she wants to vent, but Josh has a slim chance, and the slim chance he has is the work that Josh laid down in them goodbye messages. But that's coupled with the same work that Paul was laying down in them goodbye messages. And because while Paul is saying all that bullshit, Josh was telling the truth. Now, this would have worked better if, like, especially like after Cowboy. If, like, after Cowboy and Cowboy saw that goodbye message and shit from Paul and Josh, if he would have then sent, like, you know, sent somebody other than Alex to the jury house, then he probably would have. But, I mean, Jason's made it clear. Like, Jason is in no way voting for Paul, which I don't see how Alex could either. Because he, like, promised Alex the world, and she don't even have a car. And I'm not, and I guess we're under, I personally think you should vote on gameplay when you're in the jury house. Now, in an instance where it's like blatant shit, like him lying in goodbye messages, I'm not going to criticize nobody for being personal on that shit. But at the same time, we've seen all season what? This house has been dominated by high school caddy tactics. Why would we expect that shit to stop now? Because I don't. I think it continues, and if Paul takes Christmas, he wins in a sweep. I think it's more interesting if he takes Josh. But, I mean, if Josh wants to just outright win, he's got to win this last part of HOH, and he can't be dumb enough to take Paul. Because for whatever work he's done, like, up until that point, taking Paul ruins it all. Because I think you have a better chance if Paul took him more than if he took Paul. Because him taking Paul, I just don't understand the logic behind that. You know, they were practicing their speeches today, which I think is some lame ass shit. You sitting around practicing a speech, like, let your fucking game do the talking. Why y'all motherfuckers is so, they've been obsessed with jury hustling. Remember, since the whole season started, all we've heard everybody talk about is what? Making it to jury. And then once we got to the point where people start making it to jury, then what did it turn into? Well, jury votes. And I think, now I kind of excuse Paul, okay, for the whole jury votes thing. Because you do have to understand, regardless of how you feel this shit was rigged or whatever, which we know what it was. We know Paul got unlimited stars. He had mushroom. He had a fucking Yoshi. You know what I mean? He was eating turtle shells, shooting flames at him. Paul had it all. You know what I mean? So I get that. But Paul lost in the final two last year. So in his mind, especially when he starts seeing that, you know, getting to the top was actually like a feasible thing that he could actually do, he wants to make sure that these votes go down differently this time. And I'm telling you that jury work he did as far as them goodbye messages, if anything comes back to haunt him, it will. I know there's a lot of people just holding on hope that Josh will. I don't have any hope in Josh. I said Josh is our only hope how many times? I'm not saying that shit no more. Technically, he is our only hope, but that's no hope to even be had. You know what I mean? He talks a good game, and then now, all of a sudden, I mean, the only thing we can hope for is that a lot of times when he does these cam talks saying what he's going to do, he ends up doing the opposite. So since he's saying he's going to take Paul, the best you can hope for now is that he does the opposite, because I don't even see it. I was pretty pissed off at Christmas. She's pretty much quit and gave up, which I'm like, you should have just fucking left when you broke your foot. I think now, the more that I look at it now, I think they should have had her leave when she broke her foot. I mean, that's fucked up or whatever. You know, I'd have been okay with her coming back for another season after that or whatever, but they probably should have just let her go, because it was just like a spot they took up, and then it was just too much weirdness around it where she can compete, she can't compete, you don't know if she can compete, you don't know if she can't compete, and she's getting powers and shit, and she can barely move. And if you've been watching the house, first of all, Big Brother has been putting them on blast at how trifling they are. Like, they got Q-tips and shit on the ground. Like, Paul don't like to wash dishes. Like, Paul's just like the traditional rich kid. He don't like to wash dishes. He just be throwing shit on the ground. He don't like clean up after himself. Like, that shit ain't even cool. And I'm gonna tell you another thing that ain't cool. This late game flirting he's been starting to do with Christmas, because, like, Christmas had a talk with each of them and said the same thing where she basically told him, just do what's best for your game. And Paul was like, yes, thanks. You told me that shit. He even told y'all. She told me that shit. That's what I'm going to tell her as soon as I pick. I'm like, well, don't be mad. I'm taking your advice. I'm taking your advice and doing what's best for my game. What's best for your game, Paul, is to take Christmas. But Paul's scared to take Christmas because he don't want Christmas to end up like Nicole. You just got to look at the situation, Paul. Like, Christmas resume, because I want to say it was Big Brother Network. If it wasn't, I apologize and I'll correct it. Put out these like kind of like player resumes between the final three, and Josh's shit looked cool. You know, he had a couple HOHs. You know, had some vetoes, won some competitions. He was on the block 3 times, and so okay, cool. Then you look at Paul's resume, he ain't touched the block. He had like 2 HOHs, couple vetoes and all this shit. Then you got Christmas. She been on the block, what, twice? Either once or twice. It might have just been once. All right, don't quote me on it. No, it wasn't more than twice if it was. And what's her resume as far as winning? 2 fucking HOHs that literally were handed to her. The first one that got handed to her was in that little, when Derek came back and they had that like space trivia type deal, and like Paul had to outright embarrass her to hand it to her. Who was the 4th HOH? And Paul selected Cameron. Like, Paul be doing all types of sneak dissing like that. Like, Paul's definitely that type of motherfucker that will try to embarrass the shit out of you when you see you trying to open a jar of mayonnaise or some shit, and then Paul's just gonna come over. Yeah, that wasn't shit. Here you go. Like, he's one of them type of motherfuckers, man. That shit wasn't cool. And then the track shit, we all know about that. If there was one moment in this entire season that you could have just showed exactly what the house was like, it was that. If you just show that HOH to someone who was like, I missed all of Big Brother 19, can you summarize it? It can be summarized in that race. Everybody threw it. And while everybody's throwing it, they're trying to make each other think they're not throwing it. It was the stupidest shit I ever seen. And I still believe that the only reason that Christmas was clear to compete in that shit was because Paul and production knew everybody was throwing that shit. I mean, Paul got how many powers this season? Dominant, pendant protection, which you really almost got to count that as like 3 powers. Because I remember when the most off the hook power I had ever seen was the coup d'etat with Jeff, and that shit caused Shima to self-evict. You know what I mean? 'Cause I felt her pain in the sense that they just overthrew her fucking HOH. And that's part of the reason why I selected that as one of the seasons that we could watch, because that power changed everything in the game, because people started flipping out. You know, Shima flipped out to the point she threw one of her microphones in the hot tub, and got her ass evicted for that shit. Well, she didn't even get self-evicted. Let me rephrase that. She got flat out expelled. They kicked her ass out. She had one of the funniest things ever, because they called her to the diary room like a million times. She wouldn't do it. And then finally Allison got over the speaker and was like, Shima, we need you to come to the diary room. As soon as she walked in the diary room to sit down, it was like, nah, keep coming this way. Don't even sit down. And she got ushered out that other door on the other side of the DR. And so, and that was from just a coup d'etat that had like one use. And it was like, Jeff literally became HOH for a second, put up 2, he could take down 1 or 2 nominees and put up 2 more. And that's when he put up Natalie Nasty Ass and a guy that I refuse to call by his nickname. I'm not calling Jesse that shit, man. Like, no, I ain't calling no grown man Mr. Spectacular. You got me fucked up. You gonna have to come up with something better than that. So, I mean, that was enough to get everybody crazy. And then you look at Paul out the gate. And like I said last night, valuable lesson learned from Cody. I will not I'm telling y'all, and I'm want to repeat this again because I'm dead ass serious. I will not. If you hear me in the DR and I'm HOH, and you don't hear me bring up backdooring somebody one time, I'm backdooring somebody. Because here's what was messed up about Paul from Jump Street. So what was the first power he got? He got the friendship bracelets. They gave him 9 bracelets, which means he got 1 for himself and had to give away 8. So what does those 8 mean? I mean, granted, yes, that's just like safety for other people, but that's literally saying, hey, Paul, we're going to put you back in the game and we're going to give you 8 allies to start. We're going to give you half of the house's guaranteed allies to start. Guaranteed. Because I think the game could have been really, really more different if Paul would have gave Cody a friendship bracelet. I mean, the odds of that, like, even watching back on it is like slim to none. But think about that. Do you honestly think Cody would have definitely went for the back door after Paul just gave him a friendship bracelet? I mean, there's no way you could say that with confidence. You know, maybe he would have. It would have been great. But at the same time, pendant. So, and I think that whole pendant shit came because remember, if you go back and watch that episode, Cody kept saying it. He was in the DR. I don't like Paul. We backdooring Paul. We backdooring Paul. Backdoor, 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 backdoor. He told Matt we backdooring him. He didn't tell nobody else. And next thing you know, at the end of that episode, America, vote for who you want to give the pendant of protection. All of these no-name motherfuckers or the motherfucker you knew from last year, Paul. Cody said it best, man. 3 fucking weeks. 3 fucking weeks, man. They gave Paul safety for 3 weeks. Gave him 8 allies. They gave him 8 allies, 3 weeks of safety, and made sure he wasn't a have-not. The Stockholm Syndrome shit was started from Jump Street. Immediate Stockholm Syndrome, man. Immediate Stockholm Syndrome. So, I mean, if we go down Cameron, I mean, Cameron wasn't there long enough, but he had already made a shitty gameplay as far as I was concerned. If you felt like you could have won that competition, you should have just won it, and then you would have had safety instead of this shit where you was like, I don't want to win because I don't want everybody to target me as this big competitor. Motherfucker, when you got voted out, the first thing Paul said was, why didn't you keep the nerd? And then instead you voted out the nerd to keep the CrossFit champ, which she turned out to be. Cameron couldn't have been worse in competitions than her. It's not possible. It's not possible. So you got Cameron. That was his gameplay of the year, was blowing that shit. Jillian she was an idiot. Like, the one thing I'll give Jillian credit for, she recognized how dangerous the block was, but she didn't do shit about it. Because, like, when she got voted out, she never campaigned. She listened to Cody. Cody told her it was going to be a tie vote, and then Cody was going to break the tie and vote out Christmas. And so the tie wasn't broke, and it was like a fucking sweep. She got swept out of the house. And that was when, right after that vote, Mark went up to Cody and was like, you know, I had to protect my game. Which, you can't really want a motherfucker to ride with you after that when you say that shit. But that's neither here nor there. So Jillian's shit was trash. You got Dominique. So Dominique, her social game was on point. Her biggest mistake really was doing that. She could have did that talk show, but here's the thing about doing shit like that. When you're doing those type of things where you like having group sessions, you guys are like group cam talking is really all it is when they're doing them shows or whatever. Leave the game talk out of it. Don't bring up no game talk. None. Because whatever comes out, even if you didn't say it, it wasn't about you. If it comes out during your show, they're going to blame you for it. So, but then, like with Dominique, Dominique was fucking psychic. She was like a sorcerer. Like, she called all of this shit. She called Paul being the snake. She said she told everybody Paul betrayed him, and she did. The one thing that Dominique did show me was the night that Alex lost. I called that shit then, and it turned out to be true. You know, I predicted Alex's demise way earlier than it was, but it was just kind of like because in the middle of the game got kind of stale because Cody took the shot at Paul and clearly was against Paul or whatever. So they let Cody and them get some power to try to even the shit out, and then they came back and made the same damn mistakes. You know, they walking past people in the kitchen, excuse us, we have some kissing to go do. That's not how you build alliances. That's not how you win 500,000. You motherfuckers can kiss all you want on a bed of 500K. 550K if you take your whole alliance. So, you know, their mentality was all wrong. You know, yeah, they were willing to take the shot at Paul, but they didn't have the mentality to execute it in any type of way. They couldn't execute that shit at all. I mean, they had, and this is the last time I'm saying this shit, and I only say it because it's not something you could just gloss over. They had the HOH, the Veto, and the Halting Hex, and they didn't get out anybody they even wanted. I remember when they got the HOH, the first thing Cody said was, now we can get out all the people we wanted to get out. I'm just like, dude, you get out one motherfucking person. And as much as I killed Jody and them for that, like, all we seen all season long was wasted HOHs. We saw a bunch of wasted HOHs, and we saw a bunch of HOHs where people were not planning for the next week. Jessica was HOH. Put up motherfucking Jessica was HOH, put up Ramses and Josh. You know, and like I said, I admit that even if they put Paul up, it could have not been Paul going home, but if you put Paul and Josh up after Veto, what does that mean? Paul or Josh are going home. So, yeah, Josh probably would have went home then, but he didn't, and she didn't listen to Ramses. Ramses went home, so she comes right out of power. Paul wins HOH. And then Paul does what and then Paul literally did what they were supposed to do. Because remember, after that shit, that's when Jessica was like, I got the power. How about that? So when that shit happens, Paul had a choice. Paul could either believe them and not use his shit or whatever, or he could have did what he did and just like, well, if you got this power, yeah, my HOH ain't gonna be a waste if I make you pull that power out and have to use it instead of you just keep it in your pocket. And that's what I was trying to explain to y'all. That's what Jody and them should have did. I get the fear of maybe Paul has another power, another trick up his sleeve, but you gotta make him show it. You gotta make him show that power. He can't just, you can't just be scared that he has a power and then you go all the way to the end. It's like, well, I didn't do shit because I thought he could have had a power. Like, no, you just got to keep. Paul was on the block how many times last year? How hard was it to kill Rachel and Brendan? How hard was it to kill Janelle? You want to talk about some motherfuckers that, like, letting people know that you're coming after them ain't as bad as this cast seems to think it is. And that's the whole thing is, I don't want to take the shot at Paul because if I miss, he's coming back at me. Well, that's kind of like what I was getting Jody to try to understand is Paul never stopped coming after y'all. And every time, we all saw at home, after every eviction, what did Paul say? Or after every nomination, after every veto, and after every eviction, what did Paul say? I can't believe they didn't put me on the block. I can't believe they didn't put me on the block. I can't believe they didn't put me on the block. So, and then you turn around, you look at Cowboys game. Cowboy, he played a shitty game. Then his game got better, but it was all his game did was get good enough for him to choke himself out with. And I mean, because if you guys remember the early competitions, Jason wasn't just losing, he was losing bad. That bowling comp, he embarrassed himself. It was a couple other comps he embarrassed. I remember that one where it was like all he had to do was not shoot that motherfucker out of bounds. He shot the shit right out of bounds. So it was a few comps where he didn't just do bad. He did like that hide and seek comp. I think he did extra shitty in, like like when they were in the house and like the house was like a haunted house or whatever. He did shitty in that comp, and then he pulled it together at the end, but then he didn't do shit with it. He became HOH, and then he got Elena out. And at that time, I was like, Elena was a Final Two candidate for me. And not just because I wanted to lay up with Elena. No, you gotta understand. Yeah, I'm a man. I be thinking some of them girls is hot and all that shit, man. But 500,000 look better than any girl they have on Big Brother, so tough cookie. I just was like, Elena can't win shit, can't do, because by that point, like especially once you start, because Jody was gone, Jessica was gone home, and Cody was the first person in jury. So when you start, me personally, once the first person goes to jury, I'm looking at the situation like, okay, now I got to start really thinking about who I'm trying to take to me to the end. You know, Paul had Jason and Alex dumbasses thinking like, oh yeah, we gonna get all these floaters out and then we gonna rock with all competitors. When instead, all Paul was doing was getting you to waste your HOH to get out floaters, and then Josh and them was gonna use their HOHs to get out real people. He got out Elena, and then who was HOH right after that and got out Mark? Give me half a second. Josh, right? No? Christmas, yeah. Christmas, that was her first HOH, was the Derek one. And then that's when Mark got out and went home, was that one. So, you know, at least Christmas got out Mark. And it was like Cowboy in that double eviction, which, remember, that's where Cowboy fucked his whole game up. He put Mark up, told about a conversation that him and Mark had about Paul. He didn't use Paul's name, but it was clear who they were talking about. And from that point on, Paul had already said, I'm getting Cowboy out. So then you had Christmas, get Mark out. Then Cowboy turned around, won HOH again. Then he takes this HOH, puts up Raven and Matt with the plan to backdoor Kevin. Then he gets the veto. Then he wins the veto, which he should have never won the veto. He should have just let somebody else win it and decide. But then he felt bad for Kevin, so then he decided he wasn't going to backdoor Kevin. He's going to leave the Nam same. And then next thing you know, he's hiding in the motherfucking storage room. This is Cowboy's resume. Cowboy, this is your moment. And so then you get into it with them, which you're not thinking about what? Hashtag life after HOH. So you're not even thinking about that. You're not thinking about your HOH life after. No. You leave the shit the same, and what happens? Matt ends up going home behind the shit. And so going into the next HOH, who was HOH? Christmas. Okay. So now Christmas is HOH, and she puts you and Alex on the block. And you were okay with this. I don't necessarily want to say he was okay, but I don't remember him putting up no big fuss about it. And you were okay with it because the plan was to backdoor Kevin. If you were okay about that plan on a Friday, why didn't you just do it when you were in power on Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday? Like, nothing changed. Kevin was still supposed to be your guy. But then now it was like, oh, well, my back's against the wall. Like, you had no business putting Matt and Raven up. No business. I don't get the logical sense behind that. Like, you're in the jury house and you're sitting here like you're laughing, talking about the puppet master. Yeah, the puppet master ain't, because remember, Cowboy was like, hey, Alex, we would still be in the game if it wasn't for those two. You're fucking absolutely right. Maybe not in the same sense. Yeah, of course, of course Raven is not the fucking puppet master. So why'd you put her and Matt on the block like they were, you idiot? And then if the whole plan was to backdoor Kevin and you decide not to backdoor Kevin, then you need to be backdooring somebody else. Put up Josh, put up Christmas, put up Paul, put up somebody, because now you done got in this big ass fight over Matt and Raven, and all it did was rally the house to be like, oh cool, we hate Jason next. And then Paul had the great idea of, we'll pretend like we hate Kevin more. Because remember, right after that, when the shit finally calmed down, that's when they had that awkward moment where it was the whole house sitting in the kitchen and everybody sat there for like 7 minutes and didn't say anything. They're all that soft and that scared. If real life happened for like 7 minutes, they was just like. 7 minutes. Nothing but quiet. And so once that shit dialed down, then everybody started fucking with Kevin. So then when everybody started fucking with Kevin, which this was genius on Paul of using Kevin as a real pawn. Kevin was used as a real pawn, and the reason it was able to work is because Paul never told anybody that Kevin was the pawn. So with him not telling anybody that Kevin was the pawn, then this is where it all started, where, Cowboy was, Matt was the first to go home behind we're backdooring Kevin. Then the next week, Cowboy goes home behind we're getting ready to backdoor Kevin. And so, Cowboy, he was pissed and he left. He left Cody style. So you got Alex. Now, Alex, her game was, it started off hot and heavy. And then it just evaporated. She came in there just this mega pro feminist, and I don't say feminist as a diss or trying to she came in as, remember when the shit first started, and she took a shot at Cody before he won HOH. And I slick think Cody respected that shit, because Cody still kind of rock with Alex. I think Cody, if he couldn't have fucked with Jess, Cody wanted to fuck with Alex. You can't tell me no different. I still don't think, I think Cody's feelings for Jessica are genuine. I don't feel Jessica's feelings for Cody are genuine. I really don't. Because if you go back and watch the beginning, she was all on Paul's jock. Literally until the point where Cody became HOH. And then, like I told you, man, the thirst was real, man. The thirst was real. So, but with Alex started out at the end of that first endurance comp. It was her. And this was just a competition for safety. This wasn't even the actual HOH. And it was her, Matt, and Cody on that shit for like an hour and 15 minutes. And then Matt fell off and just her and Cody. Cody tried to make a little deal with her, which I really don't know what kind of deal Cody was trying to make at that point, because, I mean, you didn't have no power. You were just playing for safety. So if you won your own safety, well, really, what the fuck could you have done for Alex? Does that make sense to you? You kind of see what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck could he have done for Alex? So Alex told him literally, you can eat shit. And then Cody laughed like, hey man, she's talking that shit. I respect it. So, she fizzled out and Cody won the shit. And so then Cody became HOH, and then after that, he tried to draft Alex. But even then, that was a bad play by Cody's part, because he didn't sell it to her as a partnership. He sold it to her like, you can come be one of Cody's hoes. And she knew she was going to be at the bottom of the pecking order, and I agreed. Then it was like, that doesn't make any sense for me to come be on y'all team and immediately be the most expendable person on the team. Like, nah, fuck that. So she went from that, and then when she was hanging on the thing with Cody, she's like, I don't need a man to carry me all the way through this, like going through the deal. I don't need no man to take me all of this shit. And then you went from that to, by the end of it, you hula hooping in the backyard by yourself, begging Paul to take you. What happened? I didn't need a man. You didn't need a man. I told you motherfuckers a long time ago, man. Y'all had several HOHs where y'all could have backdoored Paul and you and Jason could have ran through that house. They could have ran through that house. Jason and Alex, to me personally, was the most like talent left on the table that was just, their brains weren't as strong. Her brain was stronger than Cowboy's, because Cowboy would get extra nervous and shit, but she wasn't no better because all of her plans that she's telling Cowboy are all Paul approved plans. Like, she didn't know how to keep information to herself. Like with that Dominique situation. Okay, so now you got Dominique, right? You got Dominique trying to tell Alex about the motherfucker kicking it up in her HOH room is a snake, and she says she wants to have a house meeting. All Alex had to do was kick back, let the house meeting happen, and listen, learn, store the information, go from there. No, but every time somebody told Alex something, she didn't just tell Paul, she immediately went and told Paul. Immediately went and told Paul. All the way down to the part where she fake cried to Josh. She fake cried to Josh. What was the first thing she did after she fake cried to Josh? She looked in the camera and told us that she was faking, and then she told Paul she was faking. So, and then Alex, you know, Jason's supposed to be her ride or die. So after all of this shit festering, Alex is winning in the beginning, then she starts faltering. Then she wins. She sat and watched Christmas cast the final vote to evict her dude, Jason. When the plan was, we're evicting Kevin. You win the HOA to say this is for Jason, and Christmas and Josh still don't touch the block at bare minimum. Christmas, Raven, Christmas, Josh. Christmas definitely should have been on the block, but instead, you still were so bloodthirsty for Kevin, you put up Kevin and Raven. Raven goes home, which makes, what's that? What are we up to now? 4 in a row? Matt, Jason, and Jason, and Raven at this point. All three thinking they going home against Kevin. And guess who was the fourth one to get up there thinking they were going home against Kevin? The one who wanted to be on the block against Kevin in the first place. Which, that was the dumbest idea. Who the fuck? That's another theme of this year that must be discussed. Willy-nilly getting on the block. I'll get on the block. I'll get on the block. You asked me to get on the block, sell your mama's car. I'm not selling my car for this shit, man. Like, no. I keep telling y'all, what is the first step in getting eliminated from Big Brother? The very first step. Everybody that's went home, what did they have to do first? They had to get on the block. That's the first step. I don't want to take the first step to go home. Not for fun. Not for the team. I don't want to do this shit for nobody. Nobody. Because we see what happens when you do it for the team. Matt went on the block every week until he went home. He went on the block 4 times straight, went home. Kevin went on the block 4 times straight. But then Kevin's shit was just like opposite. It was like Kevin was already going home. But they was like, well, we can actually string you along before you go home. Because all these other dumb motherfuckers really ain't paying attention. They think that... It still is crazy to me that Cowboy had just won 4 out of 5 competitions. Alex had been winning shit. And they were on the block thinking that the bigger target was the motherfucker who everybody keeps saying ain't done shit. So, I mean, that was Alex's game in a nutshell. Elena's game, all Elena was on, gold digging. Sorry. I still think Elena hot. I know I'm in the minority, and she's hot for that type of girl. Like the done-up kind of fake-looking girl. Like, I like to put my women in tears when I grade. Because I'm not just no, I like one type of girl type of guy. So for that type of girl, and I mean, like, she had nice boobies, man. I'm sorry, man. But when it came to the playing that game, man, she's trash. All she did was she laid up with Mark until she was like, oh, Mark's poison. Then she just straight broke up with Mark. I can't think of the last. Get in the comments. Let me know the last time somebody just straight broke up with somebody in their showmans because they felt the heat coming. She felt the heat coming. She broke up with Mark. She told everybody, look, Mark don't speak for me. I don't speak for Mark. You know, she was letting that shit be known from Jump Street. You know what I'm saying? So, that shit, her game was terrible. She ended up floating with Paul, and she just could never wipe that Cody stink off of her, which the Cody stink that Mark and Elena had, that shit was really fake. It was just, these are easy targets now. Oh, they talked to Cody. Okay, fuck it, we'll go at him. Which, that brings me to Mark's game, and Mark's game was shitty, and then by the time he realized how shitty it was too late. He was a mega floater. I mean, at one point in the game, he doesn't want to take out Paul with Cody because he really likes Paul. And then next thing you know, he don't want Paul and them to take out Cody because he can be himself around Cody. These are direct quotes from Mark. This was Mark's game. Mark's game was to just float. At one point, he was like, this is Big Brother. Everybody floats. No. First of all, to float, it has to be strategic. The only strategic floating I saw this year was Kevin. And Kevin's strategic floating went as so. So we can talk about Kevin's game shortly. I done basically already talked about Kevin. That's why I ain't really going to Kevin and Jody. But I'll say this about Kevin. His strategic floating was, even though the house was floating to like another side, Kevin never really left the other side. You kind of see what I'm saying? So when everybody left Cody, Kevin still had that line of communication to Jessica and Cody. You know, because him and Jessica had that Boston connection and all that shit. So he didn't just leave each side. So, like, even, like, I guess the only people that could have gotten power where Kevin wouldn't have had nobody's ear was Matt and Raven. You know, remember Christmas used to call Kevin her house husband. You know, Kevin and Josh used to talk. Kevin had Ramses under his wing before and that was a cold-blooded play by Kevin. And that was when I called him dirtbag for that shit. Like, he was treating Ramses like that was his kid and shit. Then he threw the 25 on Ramses and got Ramses pushed right the fuck out the house. So, you know, Kevin did a lot of dirtbag shit, but he was able to strategically float and stay on both sides of the house. He would have been fine. The only thing that got him caught up was when Paul decided he was using him as a pawn. So, I mean, then you get on Matt's game. Matt, he was tough until when? Until he started fucking with Raven, man. That's literally what it became to. Matt wore like 3 shirts all season. He wore that Texas shirt, a blue shirt, and something else. He's got that tattoo covered up. If anybody knows what this shit say, will you let me know? I've been wondering what the hell that tattoo is he's got covered up on his arm, what it actually says. I think I might have looked it up before, but I may have forgot. But, I mean, what can you say about Matt's game? It doesn't take long to describe it all. He ate a gang of cereal, and then he fell on his sword for Raven, a.k.a. the Puppet Master, a.k.a. inverted spine, a.k.a. rough kneecap syndrome, a.k.a. my whole family got fucked up after a Ouija board, a.k.a. my mother got hit by lightning, a.k.a. my GPA is dance. AKA I got a disease they've never even named yet. She gonna be mad when she see that 4,500 in her GoFundMe. Hey, if you get a chance, go look at her GoFundMe, and I want you to go look at the donations, the recent donations, and I want you to read the comments. Because now people are just outright clowning her. Somebody donated $5 and was like, here's 5 cents for all 100 of your ailments. Somebody else gave her $5, was like, I hope you get your inverted spine and rough kneecap syndrome fixed, get better. And so it's literally become a joke. I saw somebody had a GoFundMe, which I'm pissed I didn't see it. Because if I'd have saw it, if I'd have saw that shit, I would have pumped that shit up and I'd have broke some bread on that. They started to GoFundMe. They were gonna send a plane over the house with a banner that said Raven Exposed Party on it. Oh yeah, I'd have broke bread for that. I'm mad dude didn't I'm so mad that dude didn't advertise that shit and promote that shit more than he did, man, because I would have loved to be part of that. So I mean, you got Raven, her whole game was just, she's just a classic grifter, man. She just walks around telling stories 24 hours a day. Like any type of story you tell, guarantee Raven had that exact same shit happen to her, but worse. You know what I mean? Her accents changed 3 times. She lied about motherfucking trying to cuss Matt out in Arabic, which that was the weirdest shit ever, because Paul and Josh were unrelated, talking about Paul was teaching Josh just like a couple Armenian words, and then she just shouted out with some type of gibberish, and everybody was like, what was that? Oh, I just cussed him out in Arabic. Then Matt, I hope you, one thing Matt, you better learn, that house fight, oh, that's only gonna get worse at the crib. She showed out like that knowing that y'all were on TV. So you better watch out for that. I still got the Raven Greatest Hits video. Oh man, I'm going to shut the internet down with this one. I'm taking my nice sweet time with it. I want to make sure I get everything that she ever said out of pocket. I know that's a lot of film to go through. Look at me. Tell me that shit ain't gonna be worth it. Tell me it ain't gonna be worth it. So put the Puppet Master to the side. So now who we got? So now we're getting up to the tier. So we got, let's go Christmas. Christmas, shitty game. Name the one thing Christmas did that was worth a damn in this game? We can argue Kevin or Cody all day long, but if we talking about last place, I'm telling you, if I'm giving Raven last place, Christmas is after Raven. I would put Matt above Christmas because I actually seen Matt actually compete tough. When the fuck did Christmas ever compete tough? Even in the first comp where she was hanging up on the thing, she's standing there while she's hanging. She got a fucking 10-pack. She's got muscular ass legs. Like, you don't see an inch of body fat on her whatsoever. So when she dropped, everybody knew you dropped on purpose. And she did that shit because out the gate, everybody didn't want to be targets. How many times we hear about, I don't want blood on my hands? I never heard that term used so much. Like, what the hell are these cats doing, man? They tweaking tonight. But I've never seen so many cats worried about getting blood on their hands. And that was a big theme that got a lot of people fucked up. And it might get Paul fucked up. To tell you the truth, the only thing that can stop Paul now is that. But Christmas, I mean, her resume speaks for itself. 2 HOHs. And I guess she casted the vote to get Cowboy out. But that vote was a setup. Paul set that split vote up. He set it up so Alex would be pissed at her and then take her out. But then Alex was so stupid enough to put up Raven and Kevin. So Christmas didn't do shit. Now Josh played a strong game. Josh's biggest problem was not only couldn't he get out of Paul's shadow, he never really tried to. I mean, we thought he got woke early enough to flip the shit around, but talk is cheap. He's always, yeah, I'm gonna do this, yeah, I'm gonna do that, oh, I'm gonna stop this, oh, I'm gonna stop that, and the shit never plays out like that. It would never play out like that. So for Paul, I mean, he had to get Paul out in order to really get respect in this game. He's lucky enough that he has one more golden shot, and if he actually takes Paul out, That's going to make a lot of people in the house stand up. I think if Josh actually wins this and kicks Paul out, I'm calling it now. Sweep. But Josh literally is like, if I take Christmas, I can't beat her. And I don't get the math behind that. What is the math behind that, Josh? You got a motherfucker that's been on a scooter all season and won 2 HOHs that literally were handed to her. This ain't even like she got handed these HOHs and people didn't realize it. Like, when Paul threw the first HOH to her, everybody saw that shit. And then everybody else agreed to throw her the second one. So why wouldn't you take her? That would be a slam dunk. Because let me take Christmas, and I got Josh's resume, and I take Christmas and I lose to Christmas. I'm whooping everybody on that jury's ass. I'm telling you, I'm going right down the motherfucking line, punching everybody. Dudes, girls, all that shit. You pull anybody that pull the key, like, first motherfucker that would pull the key out and be like, I vote Christmas. You dead, bitch. Tell them right to their face. You dead. You want to pull her key out? You trying to be funny? Yeah. Whoop your ass in the backyard when we get back here. So, and then you got the one they call Paul. Paul made a lot of bad moves, but Paul made a lot of good moves. His best move was seeing what he saw in Josh and controlling that fury in Josh. Telling Josh when to fight, telling Josh when not to fight, telling him what to say in fights, telling him how to fight, like the pots and pans. Like, Alex was real good with that too, instigating Josh and all this shit. Like, I thought Alex was more like me, because I will instigate a motherfucker like that, but I'm not, when I instigate, I'm instigating just for both parties. I'm not more like trying to agitate one person to go at another person unwittingly. Like, you know, I'm kind of like, I hear somebody say something, you gonna let them say that shit to you? What? I mean, between the two of y'all, like, who could win a fight? Like, for real. Because I heard him say some shit earlier about he could really throw some hands. Can you throw hands? See, that's the type of instigating I'm on. I'm not getting ready to be like, hey, Josh, go get the pots and pans, man. Yeah, they'll hate that. Y'all weak. Y'all weak. That's the one thing that we can confirm with this, is that this was an extremely weak cast. We're in the final 3. It's going to be between Paul and Josh. And it looks like it doesn't matter who wins, because that will be the final 2 is Paul and Josh. Josh has one last chance. But this is what I'll say with that. If Josh does not take Christmas to the final 2, I hope he gets swept. I hope he gets swept. I really don't want to see Christmas get any money. But if I got to see Christmas get $50,000 to see Paul get 0, I can live with it. And I ain't no Paul hater, man. Even though there's only like 10% of the community that really rock with Paul. It's not that people really hate Paul. I know there's some people that actually do hate Paul. But on a game level, the thing with Paul is, without the aid of that cast and his powers, Paul's really not that tough of a player. Paul's just a big shot, big mouth. He think he know it all. Oh, I know what comp is coming up and this comp is coming. Like Cody said, man, all you do is go around here telling motherfucker how many days you been in the house, all that shit. Like, man, that shit don't impress nobody, man. That impress them. That impress your fans. I mean, but this is where we at now. Paul has skated to the fucking end. I've noticed a few polls like Big Brother Network, Jokers, and whatnot, and everybody thinks this is one of the worst seasons of all time, which is why we're starting BB Rewatch. So, look, man, I hope I did a great job getting y'all ready for tomorrow. I'm going live tomorrow night. It'll probably be after the West Coast, so that way the whole family could be in here. We're going to go live tomorrow night, discuss the winner, discuss America's favorite house guest. I know everybody's on pins and needles about such an irrelevant ass award that production is selecting any motherfucking way. And we got that shit coming up. Dr. Will. Yes. Dr. Will Kirby is doing backyard interviews after the finale, and he's giving away the award for the least favorite house guest. Put in the comments who you think is going to win that award. Please put it in the comments. Put in the comments who's going to win that award for least favorite house guest. So tomorrow, somebody's walking away with $500,000. Somebody's walking away with 50. Somebody's walking away with another 25. And somebody already has 25. So season winding down. Go on my Twitter right now. Go vote. Stop what you're doing. Go vote. It only takes half a second. It's the very top of my timeline. So if you go Metro D, you go look, vote BB2, the Dr. Will season, BB7, the All-Star season, BB11, the Jeff and Jordo season, and BB14, Coach Boogie and Coach Dan. That's what I've narrowed it down to. I'm ready to get started. Dr. Will has a small lead. Make sure you go check out the Facebook page, Big Brother Life with Shay, at BB Life Shay on Facebook. So go like the page. I think I've only posted one thing because nobody's really there yet. But once everybody gets there, not only am I going to be posting things, but I want you guys to post things. It's got to be interactive. We got to make it a real community. You know what I mean? And let's get this jumping, because the road to Big Brother 20, if I'm going to represent us and we're going to get this money for us, because I'm not playing. When I start my Patreon, the people on my Patreon, you're getting a percentage of the money that I bring back. That's just what it is. I'm not fucking playing. I'm not playing. So we're going to get on BB Rewatch. Then we got Celebrity Big Brother. Then we'll go watch another season. Then we're going to get ready for Big Brother 20. And I'm going to be showing the whole process, application, tryouts, wherever I go. You guys are coming with me. So thanks, man. I've had so much fun this season, but this shit ain't over. We're not going to Survivor. If you a true Big Brother head, then we just moving on to the next season right now. So also, you play fantasy football, hit the link in the description. Go ahead, sign up. $10 on your boy. Best way to support the show right now. I told you guys the Patreon is coming soon. We're almost at 500. So let's get to 500 before finale night. And then we can give the HOH robe away. So let's get it started. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Share it everywhere. Paul and Josh. That's all that's left. Josh, this is your only hope. I'm probably lying.